Because some of these AG guys, I think you guys have some customers.
Right. Yeah, that's
It's the biggest problem.
yeah.
It's the only thing that you see people solve is pricing issue, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm able to get the prices down to. I got one deal I'm doing about $5,000. Less than.
Yeah.
If you guys know anybody, let me know. I'll help them out. Get into it.
Yeah, eventually. We get the other side.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to this session of the server committee. Right now, once we get the screens up and running, we'll have Dave Peterson from HPE talk about their Cloudline 19-inch EIA servers. You know, we've heard a lot of interest in the EIA rack compatibility and how do you bridge from open rack to EIA and back. And we'll get some good stuff here. So, hey, we got one screen up, so we should go.
Now, can y'all hear me? Is that all right? Should I use the mic? Is it better to use the mic there?
All right. Now, is that better?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, my name's Dave Peterson. There are going to be a couple of us who will spend some time talking this morning. And let's just jump into it. I know that we're going to try to stay on schedule, right, Mark? So we'll be brief. I've got with me just a few folks who will come and visit with you as well. We want to talk just for a moment. I hate marketing slides, but I want to just spend for a minute or so. It was a year ago at this event when I think a lot of jaws hit the floor when, at the time, HP, before we became Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, finally joined OCP as a full member. There was a lot of work done behind the scenes and great appreciation to Mark and a lot of other folks on the board that helped to get us there. And so when you think about it, the roots and the history of ProLiant, of where we came from, System Pro, came from Compaq. Anybody ever see or read the book by Rod Canyon, one of the three founders from TI of Compaq? Thank you very much, Wade. He's a plant. Wade, do you want to tell us what the name of that book was? Open. Right, at the time, IBM was dominating the world. So HP, or Compaq at the time, and HP since, has been about open. we now in this world, right, and really this was the final thing that we really needed to be part of the open community. We had open software. We had joined the OpenStack world with Helion and had our entry there and contributed a whole lot of code to that world. We had our Alto line. All right, cool, I can bounce back and forth. The Alto line for open networking. Since then, we've gone in with the open switch. We just didn't have an open hardware standard. And so we joined the OCP Foundation last year and talked about a portfolio. And so as we started, a big part of it, right, as we talked about in the open compute world, was consuming, right, being able to consume products. We have both, and we announced these last year, to many people's surprise, both 21-inch open rack capabilities. It was there, I promise. They're still there. They're real. So Open Rack V1, we have both rack and power, right? So the infrastructure behind it, open compute sleds, right? The triplets design, we have both. Big hand of these guys. I won't admit that this is an HP computer. They're not my company anymore. Anyway, did I say that out loud? I'm gonna get shot for that. And so we have, right, in the world of Open Rack, we have a pretty broad array. We're able to offer a lot of Open Rack V1 capabilities. Have been doing that for a variety of customers over the last year or so. And so that's there. Also, we have a number of offerings in the 19-inch community. And so we started last year. Mark is very familiar with this particular product on the far left, what is part of the, right? So we consumed the Open Cloud Server spec, right? I think we're 2.7 still. Is that the official public spec that we've got out there? I can never remember. Is it 2.1? Sorry. All right. So we've got that spec. We've been delivering that capability for a good while now in the 19-inch world. On the far right side, we have a number of rack mount servers, right? 1U and 2U, 2-socket servers. And in the middle, the product that we just announced a couple of days ago, a cloud data server, 4U, 80 drives. All of these use for networking and OCP MES, the OCP MES V2. And so a lot of the technology that have been driven through the open compute community are already being consumed inside of these products, whether they consume the actual spec, as with the open compute or the open cloud server standard, or use the technologies that have been derived from in the open compute community with OCP MES and other technologies. We are continuing to drive that world, and we will continue to offer both 21-inch and 19-inch as goes the open compute community, because we are fully a part of it, right? A key, beyond just consuming the specs and then being able to deliver products to the marketplace, is a key aspect, and that's participation, right? That is what open compute, when Frank set it up originally, that was a big part of it, was being able to participate from vendors to customers to partners to technology providers and build that out. We now have within the various projects, and a couple of those folks are here in the room today, and I'll have a couple of them stand up because I want to embarrass them. Bobby Rogers is our lead. We have a few folks, but Bobby Rogers is lead on the server design project with Mark and with John Stewie. Hardware management, I don't think Jeff Otter is with us, but he was presenting, if I remember right, that was yesterday morning. Jeff presented some Redfish stuff in the hardware management project. Terry Morris, who's with us this morning, is a full participant in the Telco project, has been asking some interesting questions as I've watched the threads go. And then finally, David Malakote has been participating in the networking project with the Open Compute for a good while. So anything you guys want to add there on the participation side? Come on up. Probably not.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Actually wanted to go back to, let's
back here.
Sure, let's stay there.
All right.
So one of the things that's not always obvious is I think people may look at OCP products as being either a yes or no, very binary. Is it not? And actually, our experience with customers, there's a lot of blend in that. So Dave talked about the networking OCPNS. That's probably been the most commonly adopted element across anyone that I've seen in the industry that's been out there. And I've been working in this cloud space since about 2007, 2008. So in all of our products, what we see as a take rate for networking is the OCPNS. And there's a lot of vendors out there that whether you want to go 10 gig, 40 gig, 25 gig, 15, 100, it's coming around the corner. That's something that everybody appreciates. And one of the things that HPE is able to do to help that's not obvious is we get a lot of customer demand out there for some new technology and bring it on. Currently, we're seeing a lag between the peripheral add-in cards that come to the market versus those CPMS. So we're trying to help, shorten that lag, get those CPMS out there just as soon as the network.
Hey, Jerry Morris, worked with Mark for years at another company. And it was really interesting. It's sort of like Old Home Week for me. So this is my second Open Compute Summit. When I went in, hi Jeff. When I went in there and looked, I saw, here's Chris Peterson for Facebook doing an amazing storage design. Mark's team with Microsoft, the contributions, and again, outstanding designs. Mike Anderwortha with his FPGA accelerator designs. There's a lot of things going on, so it's really exciting to me. The telco was a bit concerning because nothing was really moving. There were a lot of people in the room, the virtual room, but the meetings and things were a bit stilted. So I did my usual trick and threw a hand grenade in and said, let's talk about what's happening in telco. Let's talk about the changes that are happening there, servers for telco. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's probably, we were talking about this the other day, it's a more exciting time than it's been in a long time. And when we get ready to wrap up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the journey of a company like HPE coming into Open Compute and what that means and the steps that we have to go through and some of the flaming hoops that we jump through to do that. But I wanted to assure you that we're in, that we're part, and that we're involved. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else, Bobby, in this case?
Oh. Yeah, actually, I wanted to go back to the.
Right here?
Yes.
All right.
So as it was mentioned earlier, I thought it was a very valid point. Some people, based on the stage of their companies and the stage of how they're consuming and the rates of consuming this type of cloud product, this is probably where you're going to land at one point when you get to that greenfield opportunity, and they're going to come in with a data center, various data center strategies, and you want to do it, and go to your open wrap. But before you get there, and if you want to take advantage of a lot of the openness that's out there and people contributing and leveraging the same sort of commodity parts, then that's where the bridge is between this product and the 19-inch product. Contribution.
Yeah. Right. So we started right in the journey that Tara spent a little more time. We started by looking at the specs, reading the specs, consuming the specs, understanding, and starting to build products around that. Since then, we had some participation before. I think Kurt Belisar has sat on a variety of projects for a while. Bobby's taking over that role now. But the fullness of our participation has just been ramping since the announcement at this time last year, and continues to move forward. Frankly, at the end of the day, one of the key things that we've got to be able to do is not just participate, but we need to do more things to contribute, right? So I'll let Bobby spend some time talking about that one.
So this is going to be our first contribution. We're in the stages of getting us through all of the hurdles to do that. And it may look a little bit small to start with, but there's actually many, many facets around, and people that have the experience and the time to know about things such as fans and rotation collaboration and your different customer applications. So if your customer has a workload or a customer set that can't tolerate, even though in cloud everything's supposed to be light bulb and it fails and you replace it, if it affects the availability and the state of what they're doing at that moment, they may not appreciate that. So having a hot source and hot plug fan is something that you can do. This is something that we have gotten some feedback from our customers, and made sure that we went out and met their needs. So we're going to be bringing this back, and I think we're going to get this in as a contribution. The things that are not obvious, though, is certainly you can put a fan together and you can make it not serviceable. But are you going to account for all the various learnings over time? Are you going to account for the optimizations, just sort of retention features and all those sort of things? So this is what we hope, at least to start, to get into the process and to get something out there and get something in that other people can benefit from and take advantage of. All right. And I think we're open for questions. There's some questions out there.
So let's.
Oh, that's
Terry,
right.
do you
Terry
want to talk
wanted
first, and then we'll go to Q&A because I'm sure there's lots of folks that have some interesting questions.
Yeah, right. So they talked about consume, participate, contribute. In a big company, in an IP-based company, trying to take something as simple as a hot plug fan and all the patents that are wrapped around that, all the IP, all the different business groups that might have some use for that, and to say, we're going to contribute this to Open Compute. It's a massive undertaking, okay? It's a big job. You've worked through a lot of this stuff in a big company. You know what this is about, the telco side. So we've gone through that over the last year. And what we're kind of doing is cleaning the pipe for further contributions. And we're getting our legal people and all of our corporate people ready for this. And we're having to sort of do the same thing with the Open Compute Foundation. We're having to get through the process, learn the ropes, understand who wants what do the bylaws really say, what does it really mean, and work those processes. So it's not necessarily a simple task, but we're really coming at it hard. And I guess because we're coming at it from a different place, which is a traditional server manufacturer place and traditional switch manufacturer place, it's harder for us to get it through our processes. It's also harder for the open community to accept that, oh, they're really contributing. They really want to play, okay? So it's a different world in here. So I'm going to open it up. When we open it up for questions, I'm going to ask for your feedback on this, okay? If you have anything that you want to tell us, teach us, that you desire from us, then let us know so that we can carry that back and make this go faster, all right? So with that, questions, comments? There's a guy selling tomatoes in the back. They're not very much.
I just want to make sure I'm here as well. So the three of us, product management, server oriented, telco oriented, can handle any questions you might have. One thing I would say is that, our depth and experience allows us to start from a conversation to a final product. And that product can even go a little bit beyond everything we've shown here, to the data centers and those sort of things. So one of the things as we participate certainly is I'm going to get more involved into the server design and working groups and subgroups. Looking at the form factors and the trade-offs on the Skylake motherboards that are coming up. I've got a lot of thoughts, and I'm going to share those. I'm going to be active and do that and bring that forward. So, I personally have not been part of those conversations, so not at this time. Is that part of the open OCP? Okay. It's a fair question. The power shelves that's in the OCP. So, those power supplies has been the strategy going forward. I've seen that sort of in an application, but maybe at chassis level, sort of the baby step before you get at rack level and then beyond. I thought it was very interesting, the 48 volt discussion. And, so it kind of shows the level of optimization that you're getting to. When you're getting down to the percentage of improvements and trying to get those things 48 volts instead of 12 volts. It's actually becoming pretty mature in terms of bringing out the optimizations that are to be had there. So, yeah, excellent question. So just to paraphrase, that as we start looking at these different sort of power distribution schemes, and even 12 volt down to the ME down, and how long can ME down stay up? Whether you want a graceful shutdown termination or whether you want it to ride through until your generators come online, things like that. So, yeah, definitely this 48 volt. Just as I heard it for the first time here at this summit, and thinking through all the implications, it goes all the way down to where's those regulators and where they're placed, and are they truly as commoditized and high volume as the sort of regulators we use today, all the way through stuff. So, all those factors have to get baked in the consideration going forward. The Skylight's seem to really good. Whatever we want to call it, the future generation. Good time to talk about those things. So I don't have a hard opinion on that, but that's definitely sort of a conversation that's going to be had.
You say that you're getting serious about OCP and your participation in that. Can you give us a feeling for what percentage of HPE's resources are working on OCP things as opposed to your more proprietary product lines?
Yeah, so the question is, what's the real investment HPE is making in OCP? Just this morning I was looking up, we're a platinum member. What's the requirements to be a platinum member? One of the requirements is 1.5 people years of effort to the program. So, the people that we listed earlier are some of the people that have a lot of industry experience, been around for a long time. So, all those people would be in there. Whether it's tracked and what the actual numbers are, I'm not quite sure. But, I've had the opportunity to work with various people in the industry that are more heavily involved in OCP than maybe I am. But, I'm going to jump in because me, I do it. I don't go in part way. It's all the way. If I'm there to really talk about the real issues. So I don't know the hours, but I know from my upper management down, it's something that we're in. So we're not in just a little bit. We want to contribute more and work through some of these legal things. And that's why we're starting with this sort of a small team.
Yeah, let me add just a little bit to that. Great question. When it comes to participation and the number of hours, I measure it in the number of engineering teams that are engaged in either consuming designs or working on contributions and things like that. And the number of teams that we have working on the open cloud technologies, open racks technologies from both the compute, the JBOD, the rack, and power shelves. I don't even know if I could get the count, but it's in the hundreds. And so I can't really do that as a percentage of overall HPE because that's like 250,000 people. But the number of engineers that are dedicated to open compute technologies and delivering the portfolio for the open community is definitely measures in the hundreds. So it's not a very small team, just a couple guys.
And just following on this a little bit, obviously the margins for your proprietary products are pretty good. That's why people who can be in the server business like to be there. But in the OCP world, it seems like it's a little bit more commoditized, and therefore the margins are a little bit lower. Are you adapting? How do you deal with the different business models you need for OCP-based products as opposed to ProLiant-based products?
Yeah, what we'll call our standard offerings or enhanced offerings, the Proliant family, Apollo family, mission critical things like, right, those kinds of things. Absolutely, they're great. They're designed for a totally different marketplace. And so when you think about portfolio balancing across all of HPE, right, or even just what we call our enterprise group, server storage and networking, we have profit pools that are better in some places and we have less profit pools in other places. We recognize, and everybody's seeing, that the hyperscale architecture continues to grow. We have to adapt to that. If not, we become a dinosaur. And frankly, it's opened up what we've experienced over the last year since we were here at OCP Summit last year and announced that we were part of the OCP community, is the number of people who are now interested in talking to us that weren't before. We're continuing to sell Reliance to them because they're not ready, right? Our journey of getting to open and being part of the OCP community is not easy, right? As Terry was describing, the legal hurdles and all kinds of the other challenges, they're not easy. For you guys to get to, as consumers, to get to using a 21-inch open rack, DC bus bar kind of world, or open, right? It's a very different thing than using an iDRAC or an ILO or something like that for management. So it's going to take you guys time as well. The fact that we have both venues and both choices available will continue to drive our Proliant innovation, as well as be able to offer in the open community those kinds of technologies that you need there as well.
I'd like to address that just a little bit. Great question on the margins, because that's our life and that's our internal debate as well. Okay, but the other part of it is the upside, because what we're really seeing is two parallel markets, and the market that buys our traditional stuff still wants our traditional stuff. They want the progressive advances there like they've always had. The new market, let me tell you why I'm in telco. Okay, very simply, if I take all of the companies participating in the telco and I add up their market cap, it's about $600 billion. When I take other companies that are interested in progress in that area, that want better mobile user experience for their customers, and I add them in, it's over $1 trillion. When $1 trillion of market cap is interested in an outcome, I'm fascinated by it. Okay, so that's the nature. There's a new market opportunity. It's a different market. You have to play by different rules. You have to do different things, but that's the nature of it.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you, Dave, Terry, Bobby. And that's it.
Yeah, really.
Come up and ask me.